touching back on something that we said in these notes is the difference between a frequency and a percentage. So a frequency is simply the number of times a value is observed in a data set. So it's like the count. This many people or this many objects. And then you can turn that number into a percentage. That's the number or a rate expressed as an amount out of 100, a part of a whole. Here's an example of how sometimes comparing frequencies can be misleading. So we have a two-way table here. We have gender and whether or not the person has had a speeding ticket. So if we look at the frequencies first, what is the frequency of males who have had a speeding ticket? Well, that would be in the male column, a yes answer to speeding ticket would be 8. And then what's the frequency of females? That would be 6. So if we compare the frequencies here, it looks like, okay, males have more speeding tickets. There were more males that had speeding tickets. But let's look at the percentages instead. So if we want to look at the percentage of males who had a speeding ticket, that would be 8 out of the total amount of males surveyed, which there were 8 who said yes and 15 who said no. So that is 8 out of 23. And you're welcome to grab a calculator if you would like to divide that out. If you divide that out, you get 0.348 or 34.8% of males that were surveyed had a speeding ticket. And then let's look at the percentage of females as well. So there were 6 out of 6 plus 11, so 6 out of 17 total. If you divide that out, you get 0.3529. So this is about 35.3%. So what's happening here is that the sample sizes were not the same. There was 23 males asked and 17 females asked. So the sample sizes differed. So the sample sizes are different. When the sample sizes are different, you cannot simply compare the counts because naturally, if more men were asked, likely then more men will say yes. You have to compare the percentages instead when your sample sizes are different. And when we do that, there was actually a higher percentage of females. So based on this data, is a male or a female more likely to have a speeding ticket? I would say females. The percentage is higher. So you do have to be very careful about that. Anytime that you're seeing frequencies, just counts being compared, make sure that the sample sizes are actually the same. That's the only time that frequency comparisons are actually accurate and valid. Most of the time, just because of the nature of sampling, you're not always able to get the same sample size. You get whatever sample size you're able to manage. So this is an example of incomplete data. If only the frequencies were reported, it would give a false impression here. So look for those percentages most of the time, because most of the time the sample sizes will actually not match.